Good morning, everybody. I am trying something new. I really hope it's going to work. It's going to be kind of like semi-live because I will be driving to see my dad, and I hope mods are going to be there and help and jump in and kind of like chat, because this is a premiere. You will be able to chat even though I recorded this just a few hours earlier. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's Saturday over here in Toronto. It's overcast. Kind of like forecast is like everything, rain and sun and forecast, like blue, lovely. So let's start. Like, happy birthday to Geminis. As always, I start always with the sign that is first. So what I'll be using today, what are these called? I think they're called Baron's Wisdom of the Oracle, and these are my Mystic Cat tarot cards, and I'll be using my Vera Sibilla Gypsy cards if I need clarifications in more depth, right? Okay, so let's start with, we have mending for Geminis, and let's get a few cards over here. I was told that I need to balance the table. Actually, the table is perfectly balanced. The tripod isn't. And the reason why tripod isn't, because I have visitors kind of like kicking it from below, and that's basically what happens. So just so you know. Okay, Gemini. Ooh, you got your card. The Lovers. Let's get a few more. And there we go. We have Fire Tom. Pay attention. Where is my magic pen? Pay attention to this tail is catching on fire. Can you see it over here? And then we have Sky Kitten. Sky Kitten is so absorbed that this dandelion is going to get squished, but Kitten is just going to get its string. Actually, this is the play slash exercise that I have with Safi every morning and every night. She absolutely can't wait for me to wake up. She comes and kind of like, what do you call this? Needles me, I guess, and until I wake up to play with the string. So she just like feels I can go from sleep to play just like she can. And then we have 8 of Earth. So we have here some energy that is calling for balancing, I would say. There's also energy of some kind of like finality. You are actually just entering your period for birthdays, and I'm surprised that you would feel this way, to be honest. Usually in this particular time we feel, oh my gosh, everything is possible, I'm going to be, you know, jumping through the hoops, I'm fabulous, usually we look great, we feel great, and almost like we are acting like a magnet, especially air sign, right? So but I feel there is like some kind of like energy of possible forgiveness and maybe healing after arguments over here, right? So keep in mind that when we are hurt, each time we are hurt, you know, it gets integrated in our system. It's almost like something falls on your clothes and your fabric, right? You need to wash it out. It's not the easy thing to do with emotions, because sometimes we don't acknowledge it got integrated in our soul. Sometimes it's just not practical to do it, and we have to keep going through it and getting more and more things kind of like dealt with, right? So I really feel that maybe you have accumulated some kind of like burden, and that burden is possibly pain and memories and some kind of like resentments and possibly arguments, and you're kind of spinning this in your head over and over and over, right? And look at this, they are actually really releasing it up in the air, and it couldn't be like looking better for such a beautiful air sign like you, right? So this is a time, guys, to forgive, to release, you know, and just simply to make peace and make amends. You need to kind of like set yourself free. Look at that kind of like freedom that is really coming here. Like, so there is like this period of, okay, you need to kind of like let go, and you know, it is something that is really necessary for you to move forward. And I know it's really hard sometimes, especially if somebody wronged you, but you know, you need to bridge that gap, kind of choosing, you know, or closing, pardon me, your heart is not an answer. Like, that's not, like many people would, I'm never going to date, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to talk to you again, that kind of stuff, right? So you actually do have the power to heal the wound in this particular period. So you need to ask yourself how to deal with loving energy, because the loving energy is a gift to you for this week. Love and intriguing energy. You might be coming people in your life, and you might be saying, okay, great, thanks for being here, I love that you're here, but guess what? You know, we need to be very practical, and certain things need to be built step by step by step, right? So also keep in mind that when we have a loss, that it kind of like allows us to see ourselves in a much bigger picture, like a part of a bigger kind of like scheme, right? And opens us to sympathy, like toward the others, but also to ourselves, right, Tiger? He is sitting on the window, and I'm on the 3rd floor, and he's barking at the passengers. So that's it, barking at the passengers, not really helpful, but seeing a bigger picture, helpful. So you need to understand that if you let your sorrow out, or wherever I'm feeling kind of like constrained in there, you know, you are going to realize that you're not going to be left behind in the future, that you will be moving forward, you'll be happy again. I can see that clearly. So now you are walking into that energy of being loved, but you need to allow yourself to do that, because trust me, one day you're going to look back and you're going to know this as a truth, as a fact. Okay, so who is next? Next is Cancer. Okay, let's go with Cancer. Cancer for this week, and June is here, so we have round and round. So what's going in circles, dear Cancer? Something is going in circles, but however, we see this Fibonacci shelf, and this is kind of like that proverbial number pi, 3.14, which kind of like is the foundation of our universe. So let's see the other cards. 8 of C. Interestingly enough, I was just reading for Gemini, they had 52, and they had 8 of Pentacles, and now you have 8 of C, which is 8 of Cups. So far, it's a very similar energy. Wow, they had the Fire Tom of Fire, and you have Fire Queen. You have Earth Kitten, they had Sky Kitten, and you have a 5 of Sky, and they had Lovers. Okay, you might want to watch Gemini's reading, because most of it that I said there applies on you as well. So just kind of like go back if you haven't looked into that, and mull it over a little bit, because I'm going to now start extending this, because in your case, what I was saying there, that you know, you need a loving energy, you need to kind of like let something go. In your case, I think some of you are stuck in a situation which is really hard for you to do that. And somebody's going to tell me again, Kat, your stuff is not balanced over here. Maybe I can zoom this on to make it better. There we go. How's that? Not that I take every complaint, because it's most important that the reading is done, but I get it, that people don't like to see the screen like all over the place, right? So I really feel that in your case, lesson isn't quite integrated over here, right? You are challenged to break cycles over here, right? You need to kind of like look in the patterns that you have been making from a completely different perspective, because there is like for you that Cancerian quality. You really want to move forward, but at the same time you feel, oh my gosh, if I just go out there, somebody's going to come and squish me. You're terrified of what is out there, but you're really hopeful about going there. So come on, Cancer, right? Because you know how Cancer goes forward and backward, right? And this is kind of like feeling that there is a backward motion, and you know, it's kind of like a truth of some kind that is really coming through, that you really need to kind of like face. You this is kind of like a very introspective card. Also, if you look and look at, there's a big number 9 as well that is really shown over there, and it's looking deep in your soul, right? You need to kind of like look into your circumstances, and some kind of like learning experience is going to present itself, and you're going to be kind of like able to break the cycle, right? As far as relationship, it kind of like really tells me that some, like, I see a few layers. For those of you who are in a relationship, you might need to step out, or you might really step out. You might actually be with someone else, or flirt with somebody else, or simply kind of like feel, oh my gosh, you know, I need to be more important in this kind of relationship, right? So also, some of you might find themselves repeating the old story and finding yourself in a situation where maybe you're out on a date, and just like everything goes in a very spontaneous way until one point, and you go, oh my God, did we not talk about that? Did we not discuss this? I don't know. Maybe he's just looking at the other women passing by, or maybe he is just again late or canceling, you know, the date. And then you find yourself, oh my God, this is happening again. How is it happening again, right? So also keep in mind, and I usually say to you, with old patterns, it doesn't have to be the old person. It can be a completely new person that you're intrigued, somebody who is very different than you, and you're very enthusiastic about those differences, but you're not realizing that you also have to look and clarify every detail when you're dealing with somebody very different. And this new person can pull out. Initially, everybody's just great and dandy. Nobody's going to approach you and say, yeah, I want to date you, and that will be the end of that, right? No, they're nice and sweet and sugar and spice, and then the moment when they have you, one way or the other, like sleeping, or they feel like, I mean, that you're in love with them, they feel like that you're like depending on them, then they start playing their games, and that is kind of like that dance of the opposites. And sometimes the person is trying to recapture everything that was in the beginning, and sometimes people get stuck in that process. So this can be completely with a new person who is just like lovely in the beginning, and now, like, I mean, you're over the tiny honeymoon period, because these people cannot keep honeymoon period very long, and you're like wondering yourself, oh my gosh, I'm here, why am I here all over again, right? So this is really like a week for you to kind of like remain curious and stay out of the blame game, because it's going to be a tendency that you tell somebody, you know, you are doing this, which actually I think technically will be very correct, but you're the one who need to cut the cycle, because you might find yourself in this situation where, look at this beautiful Sphinx kitty, she doesn't really belong with the alley cats, and alley cats are attacking him or her, and you have to kind of figure out, because look, you have this pattern, you're like gentle, you're loving, you're gregarious, you meet somebody who kind of like is very different from you, maybe there is like adventure that you really feel alive, but then all of a sudden you feel, well, they belong to a completely different world. Have you heard that thing, you know, you're out of my league? So mods, I would really ask you that maybe you kind of like, everybody actually, that you title the readings, and so that kind of like would help others, as well as it's going to be easier to kind of like put the marks on, time marks. Okay, so the next one is Aaliyah, so let's kind of shuffle this and just put a little cleaning kind of space. I really hope this live is going to work. I really do. So if not, I'm just going to release this video at 11. And so what is next? Aaliyah. Who is next, better to say? Aaliyah. Oh, I have Unfinished Symphony, and it's weird because excuse me, it was upside down, and all I saw was the unfinished business. It's kind of like coming to the same thing. A lovely card. Also, we have a face in the egg, so there's like something brewing, something maybe needs to come to the surface. Okay, so Leo, for this period, Leo, we have the floating cat. Ooh, we have the cat singing. That's like symphony. I actually had a cat that was called Symphony. You have 3 majors, guys. Leo, big, huge week ahead. Never mind big, huge. This is like unbelievable. So, okay, so where do I start? It's very hard to merge major arcanas because each of them is a really big thing. So it would be like just like 3 very different and maybe even unrelated things that you really need to do. So there was like something that was incomplete. It feels that some of you are still possibly stuck, right? It feels that you really need to work, you know, to complete that cycle or project and kind of like reach the mastery of that lesson and skill. For some of you, unfortunately, this has been very painful that you have needed to go through, right? And it's clearly telling me that you want to move forward, that you really want to reach some kind of a conclusion to something that maybe has been very karmic to you. If you have been in a relationship, that could be it, because relationships generally trigger karmic lessons. But it could be different type of relationship, for example at work, that maybe you're trying to kind of like climb that corporate ladder, and like whenever you feel like you are like being kind of like good, you're not adequately praised, or somebody else gets a job, right? And this is really telling you that you really need to see this thing from a completely different, you know, viewpoint, that you really need to kind of like realize and reflect on what has passed. So like, you know, the certain thing can finally end, and that can end on a high note, and that is really, really important, right? And I do know if this, especially if this is applicable to love, that moving on, it's difficult, especially if you have, you know, love that lingers over there and maybe things that have left unsaid. Not everybody is going to allow you to have closure, and not having that opportunity to express yourself is sometimes giving us inability to move forward. Well, guess what? You can simply write down what you really want to say. You don't have to send it, but it's going to have a very similar effect. And read it out loud. And that can be kind of like your exercise that you can do, right? So you need to kind of like understand that, well, you can also make that call. You can kind of like do that, whatever is needed. But, you know, for peace of mind, you need to accept matters as really are. And you need to kind of declare your feelings. And even if this is just to yourself, even you're saying, oh my gosh, I have been shut down so badly and I don't think I can really move forward, or, you know, I love her or I love him, but oh my goodness, I don't want to be with this person. I don't like this person. I love her, I love him, but I do not love him. I do not like him or like him. And like is actually more important. It's kind of funny because when somebody needs to push that love button, but when that love door opens, it's a whole bunch of like behind it, and we start to kind of like go from the like side to dislike side. That's when stuff happens, that we kind of like start to be messy. So I really think that this is a really opportunity for you, because look, this is like everything is blossoming in this garden. So we are looking here kind of like hey little lion. We are looking at a spring, or we are looking at a summer here as well, that something is going to reach culmination, and it's going to be stages. When is major arcana, I cannot read for you anymore 1 week, because it's just like would be really hard for you to kind of like go through all of that in 1 week. It looks like you'll have stages, and one is going to be July, August, another one is going to be end of October, November, that you really need to deal with this, right? And so all the shadows that kind of like still have this will fully be released by November. So whatever this is, if you do not have shadows, so much the better. But this is really telling you that you haven't built the entire thing, what you are supposed to build while you are here. Just think about job vacancy post. Oh, you know, coming to this planet to fall in love, and kind of like you are going to be let down, you're going to be hurt, but it's going to be a major, you know, possibility to learn at work, at karmic work. And you would, probably people would kill to get that kind of like karma card. But when you're living it, you go like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking, right? That kind of stuff. Because you're getting this last card, the good kitty. And the good kitty is really finally realizing, oh my gosh, I'm releasing stuff, you know, things that kind of like really didn't work for me or did work for me are finally kind of like behind me. I am not spending too much time about looking into that. This kind of has astrological correspondence. You have Earth, you have air, and you have water. This is kind of like usually representing Pluto, so it could actually have connections with Scorpios for some reason, right? And this is definitely that self-evaluation where you're kind of like, and you're a Leo, you need to put yourself on the pedestal. So what kind of freaking lion? Remember that sheepy lion who kind of grew up with a flock of sheep and he thought he was a sheep? No, you have to reevaluate and kind of like let that big roar coming out instead of this meh kind of a thing. So you are at that crux for reaching a new life. You need to purge things that would probably hinder you from being renewed. So there is like a huge renewal process, and that's why possibly this unfinished symphony, this whole crescendo and the whole finale is really going to happen somewhere in November. So good going, Leo. It looks like you're like really rebuilding yourself. I mean, last year and the year before it was lots of Scorpio's energies that I was picking up on. This year I'm picking up on your energy really strongly, or you're sending me strong energies. Virgo, I have to speed it up because this also has to upload before the live, and all that glitters. And look at these masks, all that glitters. Okay, let me see, Virgo. You're not a glittery type, so let's see what's hiding behind it, because there is like some spiritual quest. There is like a tree of fire here, not a tree, seven of sky. Ooh, I think that's where connection is. And then we have 9 of sea and 7 of sea. So 777. We have sevens. Sevens are very spiritual. Sevens are talking about us needing to kind of like look deeper in issues, and it's kind of like going to be 2 steps forward, like 1 step back for you, because there's like kind of like this innate kind of like feeling in all of us that we really want to kind of like have a better life for us, right? And we just like really want to leave all our worries, everything behind us, right? But here is like a need, and you guys having this ability to do that better than most of the other signs, to see kind of like beyond the superficial, right? You need to kind of like don basically a mask or dress or something or sorry, like the kind of like whole idea that you need to kind of have this mask to kind of disguise its true nature, to present yourself in a way that you're not, and chasing after this sparkly bling. That's if you're that kind of a Virgo. Oh, you know, like, oh, it's such a handsome guy, I have to be with him. Or, you know, oh my gosh, this woman. This is not you. And you are being brainwashed by the media, or I mean brainwashed, it's a really harsh word, but it means like we are being really suggested. This is how marketing works. When you see that time after time and not respecting your true nature, this is like where you really end up, right? So just keep in mind that you don't see animals around other than animals of people that are adorned in a whole bunch of like trinkets and, you know, to kind of like look cuter and better. We really don't need to. Like Virgo constellation, it's the Virgin. It's like something that is really simple. For you guys need to redefine simplicity for all of us. And like in many businesses and even art, they have this KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, because whenever you want to create something, you start with something overly complex and then you synthesize it to something really really kind of simple. And this is now a message for you. What did you overcomplicate it in your life? What do you need to ground? Because it feels to me that you feel that other people are undermining your efforts, that maybe you have high expectations of the others. You want them to join in, you want the effort, but you're not realizing that in what you want, you're also reflecting a side of you that is not truly you. So when they engage and they don't give you what you want, you kind of like feel that you want to place the blame on them, but truly you have to really realize, well, wait a minute, like they are just seeing this mirror image. I kind of like have to go underneath whatever that mask, this presentation that I really have, right? And also, because your earth sign and this glitter that I'm seeing over here, I kind of like feel that this could be a little bit about possibly accomplishments, and somebody's looking to accomplishments. So whether it's kind of like a car or house, a title, position, or authority, or diamonds, you know, it's whether you're doing that, or you're observing this in the other person, because this is like letting you know about this person, about this place, and about a thing, right? Usually when people overly adorn themselves, they have insecurities, and insecurities can be like as simple as, oh, I have money, I can afford this now. Or it can be just extremely bad taste, right? Either or is like something that you really need to filter through your own like a pretty head, right? So make sure that neither you are trying to become something you're not to impress others, nor that you fail to recognize it in somebody else. And it's really cute when people want to do that, but it's really hard to deal with this. If you want a freaking apple, don't give me an orange, because I don't feel like orange, or mango. Just give me an apple. And if the person is an apple and they just like put this like beautiful orange coat and they look like an orange, it will be really hard to bond with this person. You see what I mean, right? Because they can claim all they want, I'm orange, when you taste it and it's an apple. And if you do not like apple, then you're not going to like it. If you do not like orange, you see, this is the whole thing. We kind of all play these games to some kind of like level, right? But also make sure that drama is avoided from your life at this stage, right? And see beyond the glitter and look for that, you know, inner glow. So do not use your eyes in this particular period, rather use your heart, right? And that's why you have these three cards over here. Like Seven of Sky really means like, look, you know, if you do not pay attention to something that is important, and if you realize that something is missing, maybe it isn't missing at all, right? Because the kitty cat here is stealing the little mousey, while the kitty, this beautiful Savannah kitty, is having, you know, a shot at the blackbirds, right? So the truth is here that we can be healthy. Yeah, I guess the healthy probably was the Freudian slip. We can be happy with so many different things, and so many small things can make us happy, like a glass of milk, just a food on the table, right? Spending time with your family, enjoying the nature, right? Fishing or being in the nature, right? Or another person. And it's really telling me that you need to kind of like re-engage in this like dream world, but make it more pragmatic, not kind of like allow something that pretty much the same message coming through, that something that shines really attracts you. You really need to go below, and you really need to look for the substance. So that's going to be the key over here. Okay, so we are going to Scorpio. Let's put this a little bit here. Scorpio. Yeah, this one wants to come out. And we have higher power. I love it. And look at this higher power. What a pretty thing. Like we have hidden things over here. So masculine, feminine kind of joining. But look at that key over there. And the sparkles. Okay, so let's see what else I get in addition for Scorpio. This one wants to come. So you have the wheel reversed. You have Nine of Earth. So this is a karma card. So very much I think it's telling me the Hermit. You have two major arcanas, and then you have a 9. It sounds to me that there is some kind of flexibility. So okay, let me show you closer. The wheel, or the Wheel of Fortune, the 9 of Earth, where we also have a wheel situation going over here, and another 9, which is a Hermit. So 10, 9, 9, they're all cards of finalization, and there's like some kind of complexity and need for certainty and control in the situation, right? So what basically is happening here is that your psychic powers, I know it sounds like weird sometimes, but maybe sometimes, like if you're kind of like following through this reading, maybe all of a sudden you're starting to see things yourself. Your third eye is clearly opening, because look at that light that is really coming through it, right? So some of you might be in the presence of divine, or simply kind of like get messages yourselves. It really reminds you, like this particular reading, that you're more than just a person trying to get ahead and put a food on the table. And you know, you have sort of like a big soul. There is a reason why you're born as a Scorpio. And if you haven't kind of like put like the car in that gear that you're really going there, you're always going to kind of keep kind of like puttering around in a first and a second. Why not to go for the third, fourth, and fifth kind of a thing, right? Yeah, sometimes you put it automatic, and automatic, it just keeps going with the speed that you're used to. You kind of like have to go in a higher gear, in a higher power, and connecting is really important. And the question you're going to be asking yourself, what is here for the highest good of all? So when the wheel turns like this, it means that you might be on the receiving end of something that you really don't like, and that being on the receiving end possibly of a new beginning, it is telling you like you really need to go back, and you still have to work on possibly being solitary, possibly looking for the answers within yourself, right? Because this is pushing you back in the hermit stage. Hi, Savi. You want to say hi to Scorpios? Huh? Huh? Yes? Really? Really? Yeah. Can we do the Scorpio thing now? Really? Can we? Can we? Oh, you're so pretty, but you're blocking everything, guys, right? So when it comes to relationship, guys, you looks like you are kind of like in the space because of this karmic card over here, where, you know, it's time to address how much and what kind of relationship you also have with your higher power. Because some people call it God, some people call it goddess, a spirit, whatever name, you know, you are attaching to it. You really need to recognize that your relationship with, basically your partnership, rather to say, with spirit, should be at this stage your #1 priority. Because the reason why you have been given sign of Scorpio, a sign of Scorpio this life, you have a sign of Scorpio in your life, is to do exactly that. So imagine you're going on a trip and somebody tells you, hey, can you kind of get me that, you know, shell or something, and you have the whole trip and you don't do that. So that kind of like, it looks like, from at least from the standpoint of somebody else, like a failure, and you just cannot stand it. So you have to figure out how can you serve. You have to really figure out also that there is a deep spiritual bond between you and also another person, because God comes and manifests through other people. And you know, you need to really kind of like revisit your spiritual connections, and you need to be aware of your true nature. And this is extremely strong message, because Hermit is kind of pulling in that wisdom, and so is Nine of Earth. Nine of Earth is saying, look, I'm not saying that other people won't be in your life, but I'm saying that it's not going to be priority for you, clearly here. And it's going to be a week where you're going to be examining different energies, and you're going to bring this attention and need to serve back in your mind. That's going to be very, very important. If you have been kind of like obsessing maybe on some point of being right, maybe there are old resentments or failed expectations or money, other people, what else do we do, that places, things, you know, just, you know, that you need to connect with spirit. So prayer, mindfulness, just like sitting still, it would help. It's just like just repeat yourself Om sound, because that vibration has something that is calling God. It's almost like a bell. God, come here, visit my soul, and then it kind of like really feels like a cleanse. So Scorpio, it's going to be really interesting. I am so looking forward to talking to my Scorpio clients, and also would love to get Scorpios to comment, because we can use your words of wisdom in this particular time. So the next one is Sagittarius, and I think something flicked. Ooh, TikTok. 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 I love this card. I love this TikTok card. Okay, so let's see what is like calling for attention, or some kind of like time is running out. There's like a sense of wanting to escape something or somebody. You're getting a little bit restless in this particular period. Okay, you have the demon cat, the chariot. Wow, 3 majors, the world and fire kitten. Which sign was it? I think it was a Leo that had 3 majors, right? And you have 3 majors as well. So major arcana is not kind of like something to sneeze at. Major arcana is like, this is happening and it has to happen for a reason. In your case, it's some kind of like karmic message over here, because you're having a karma card, and it's really telling you like something went too far. And I really feel there are some issues in your case with a third party or with a partner you're married to, because the demon cat really obviously talks about these type of relationships, right, where we will get stuck in a process, and it's almost like the old gramophone. It keeps stuck and repeating the same thing over and over and over again. I had one of those. I'm that old. I had one of those gramophones that would actually automatically, when we come to the, how would it go? It would go like this, and we come to the end, and then automatically will go to the beginning. So like this, there was like, for some of you that are younger, you're going like, what? What's that? Yeah, that was even before tapes. We actually, at least I'm not as old to have this 8 tracks. So then after that, it was this gramophone. And what I'm really missing about it is a beautiful artwork of the albums. So it was 72, which I actually don't remember that many 72s, but it was 45, which was a small one, which would just fit one song. And also it would be 33, which was like a big one. And so you had like, I mean, several songs on it, which was the entire album. And of course, if you are like new generation, this is kind of like very, very strange for you to even comprehend. But to this really lack of my family, I had one of those automatic ones, and like when I liked something, I would be repeating this over and over and over again. Today I understand that thing that I had, that maybe a little bit of obsession, is something that actually penetrated in many other segments of my life. And I can see that here in your reading as well, that sometimes we have like the bone, and we're not letting this bone go, where there are other things that we can do or other things we need to do, right? Because the chariot is clearly talking about the energy of needing of let go. Chariot is release of some kind of like situation, right? Because like if you really put everything in perspective with your TikTok kind of like card, so when time is like artificial, right? Time simply doesn't exist in the nature. The tree doesn't really have a time, but we do have this assignment of time, right? So we look into this time in a sort of like very linear way. So past is behind us, future is ahead of us. But what if this is not true at all? What if you cannot leave your past behind that? And what if something from the past is coming to the future, right? Or what is it if it's happening right now, as it's saying in this card? Because it's really weird that you are getting this now card coming with merge with the time. So now is the time to do something. Now it is a time to do this co-creation of the life you desire. You need to kind of like speak your agenda. You need to also let go of the need to shape and control every moment and your expectations, right? This also could be time for miracles. This could be time for curiosity, right? But you really need to kind of like also have you have to kind of like enter this productive cycle, because especially when it comes to love, and some of you have been stuck in relationships that really didn't go anywhere. Maybe it was a multiple relationships at the same time that didn't go anywhere, and you have been blaming on the time, on the space, or this person, or I have a child, and you know, it's not a good time, the family, million and one things. The truth was, you have been the problem, or that person, or maybe if you're in all this situation, right? So now it is really the time to understand that maybe some things have been preordained in this kind of a karmic flow, and it's kind of like really time to decide which ones are staying and which ones are not staying. So even though this is showing a clock, when I kind of like take these cards together, it's almost like I'm hearing ticking of your heart over here. And this keeps on going, and love always happens, you know, right on time. So you need to really keep that in mind, right? So maybe you're getting a little bit nervous about your dreams. Maybe something is taking too long to manifest. You have to understand there's like really nothing to fear. You're not going to run out of time for the important things, right? So karma and miracles that need to be yours in this lifetime are just yours and nobody else's. They are not going to be missed. But that's kind of like really amazing thing about that, because that's why you're getting this world. That's why you're arriving to this place. It might not happen in this week, as I said to Leo. Certain things, when I get majors, they take a little bit longer to kind of get there, because the world card is like yay and yay and yay, right? So this is that final destination of the journey where, you know, like the cycle has been, you know, reached. Like you're hearing your own one ting, you're hearing this clock announcing it's done, you're taking it out, and you're moving in a completely different cycle. So that's why you have this like fire kitten, and you being a fire sign, this is kind of like a good thing. You're going through this process of kind of like being intrigued and being immersed in life. Maybe there was like something that kind of like prevented you of moving forward, right? Because this is again talking about a new enthusiasm and travel and creativity and exploration, and off you go, Sagittarius. Something is getting released. So now it might take longer that you want, even though this is reading that came through a message. I really have to tell you, this is not going to happen in a week. It's going to start this week, and it might take quite a while. And how long? It might take even 4 years for this to be done. But so you know that you're on the right path, right? Sometimes it helps to tell you, hey, you know what, you're doing what you should be doing, because sometimes people just stray away. So what you're doing this week, you need to continue doing that for the next 4 years. So for example, if you choose someone, this person is it, and so on and so forth, right? Or a job or something, just stick with it for a while, because that's exactly where you need to be. Okay, Capricorn, not for you. Oh my God. Okay, I have to stop laughing, and so you can see it. It says nope. And it's somebody holding a chessboard. There's so many layers in this card, and there is like somebody watching over you. Oh my God, what is that all about, Capricorn? Okay, so let's get the other cards out. Okay, we have Fire Kitten. So we have Ace of Earth. Okay, so that's where this is kicking in. Ace of Earth, as you can see, it's like something solid and sturdy, something that has been here forever, and it has to start from a seed. And when it comes to this stage, this whole tree that has been there for centuries is no longer. And it could be a harsh winter, or you could have a harsh relationship, and you're just not seeing ability to kind of like move on or rebuild something anymore. And you have a little bit more of fire. So I have fire, earth, and fire. So earth and fire can be kind of like good interaction, because fire can re-nourish the earth, but mind you, in the process it kind of like burns it as well. So not for you. It's possibly telling you that, hey, you know, have you been involved in a situation where you kind of like burn your pretty little fingers, kind of a thing? Or why are you involving yourself in a situation that keeps kind of like repeating in a sense? So this is clearly knowing that you have been rejected, that something is not for you. Look at this. This is the sense of being burned here, and there is a sense of being burned here, and there is like a sense of something not moving forward for some kind of reason. I think this week is going to be one of those times where, you know, no matter how much you want something, no matter how deeply you think about it, no matter how much you pray about that, right, or how hard you work, result is going to kind of escape you, elude you, right? You it's kind of like almost as if, oh my gosh, I cannot even be in a game, and look at this, all this kind of like machinations to keep kind of like predators, like, I mean, away. Almost like it's going to feel like you are not participating, that you're standing on the sidelines. And you know, it's going to feel that you want something and that you cannot get it. It's kind of like that proverbial glass ceiling that some women feel at work, like, hey, everybody's telling you you can do it, you can work harder, jump higher, but then somebody else gets the job and you know that it was your turn. It's clear over there. Or for men who are being led to believe, yes, I want to be with you, because she doesn't want to lose a suitor, and instead she is basically just mending her time for somebody else who she wants to come through, right? And then you feel that barrier, but it's not being said, it's not being expressed. There's like nothing you can put a finger on, but there is like this intuition, there's like that something else that kind of keeps us here spiritually connected, right? So what do we do in this situation? It's kind of time to radically accept that it's like not everything available when we want it. Yeah, some of us live in the first world countries, and we expect if you go in the store that things are there. So imagine your surprise when I went to get my favorite beer, and I went to the brewery. They said, well, it's not there. I said, huh, what? Sometimes you just need to accept it. And it was a reason maybe to say to me, okay, you know what? Beer is a liquid red. Maybe you shouldn't be kind of like using it. And this was a kind of strong message, or maybe something else. So not everything gets available when you want it. So you kind of like need to kind of like realize that, because you know what they say, rejection is God's protection. As far as relationships, my dear Capricorn, some of them carry that seed of innate failure. It almost feels to me that maybe you have been into something that is really karmic, because something has been brewing for a long time. You, on your end, you might have something that is lasting 3 days or 3 dates or something really young, but it's not feeling to you that way. It feels like there's a sense of familiarity, there is a sense of, you know, this person, right? And this is what happens when you bring them from past lives over here. So, but maybe this is a time to cut the contract with this person, because if you keep carrying all these people from the past lives, imagine like how many people you would have to deal with and have a brush with in this life, and how many lessons we would need to do. From time to time, you need to cut them off. On the other side, your friends will be your friends. You kind of like have this universal belonging, right? So if a relationship is not meant to be, you just cannot make it to be. Yes, you can purchase a girlfriend, you can purchase a wife, you can seduce someone, but this is not what I'm talking about here, right? So when we get rejected, this is always a sign that we are protected by the divine, right? If you're the one who needs to reject someone, just remember, you know, for both of your sakes, that, you know, this is in the best interest, because the karma is saying the contract is over, right? So for every pot there is a lid. And this is what my mom kept telling me when I did something stupid, right? Okay, just, I know you did it with someone else, because for every pot there is a lid, right? So just keep in mind that this might not be the best fit. So that's all I'm saying for you guys. So it's going to be just a week for you. It's going to feel fiery. It's going to feel like, oh my gosh, I really wanted it. You want to kind of like keep your positioning, but sometimes it's the best to just let go. Why is it important? Just let it go. Okay. All right. So Aquarians, let's see what is in for us this week. Aquarius. And I don't want to sing because all of a sudden I'll see 8 from like 8. Why did I say 8? 0 visitors. You're going to just go and jump. Mind you, it's a very good skill not being able to sing when you go to the restaurant. It's extremely good skill, because if you start to whistle or sing and people go, oh, this is horrible, I need to go, and so you get the seat in the restaurant. Clean it up. Clean it up. Okay, Aquarians, what do we need to clean up? What is the mess? We can be just completely as clean as it says. We need to do spring cleaning or fall cleaning if you are in the southern universe over here, the priest. And I think it could be really talking about our methods and our approaches to the things. Maybe you have to figure out a different way about it. So you have the priest, or that would be the Hierophant. We have Nine of Earth. Then we have Ace of Fire. It's reversed. It's Ace of Wands. And then we have Earth Kitten, or Page of Pentacles over here. So where do I start over here? This is not my favorite card, the Priest. But Priest can actually be a very beneficial card, which really talks about some kind of like organized methods that are already kind of like working out. This usually relates to Taurus, and we have like Earth, look at this, strongly in our basically chart, if you wish, in this particular week, which is saying you need to ground yourself. You need to come down to earth. Earth is calling Aquarius. Please calm down, right? So the Hierophant is physical embodiment of institution. So this is like the person who can say, okay, I have this secret knowledge and I'm going to just give you little pieces of that, and only if you give me so much money, right? It's this huge inability to obtain all this knowledge unless you are part of this whole thing, right? But keep in mind that this knowledge these days is available to all of us, but this knowledge in this particular case is really needed. There is like something we need to go into some kind of basics, and we need to kind of like allow ourselves to be kind of guided to discovery, I would say. And it will be through something actually that is traditional, through something that is traditional spirituality. So if you believe in God, you know, kind of visit to a church and reconnecting with that is going to be very, very beneficial, right? Because this is going here to this Nine of Earth and Nine of Pentacle. And to me, this is really talking about the essence of understanding who we are and understanding why we are here. Some people spend their whole freaking life thinking why we are here. Like, we kind of figure out it really early, but then we deny it to ourselves because everybody says, oh, are you sure? Answer is not that complicated, guys. Each of us has a different answer. I cannot answer it for you. But you literally need to just ask yourself, why am I here? Well, right now, because each and every moment you're here for a different reason. That's why I suggest karma readings, because karma readings shift and they give you these bigger chunks that you need to address, right? And when you resolve it, you just get the new things. It's just like work. Hey, I'm done with this project. Give me another one to deal with, right? But look at this. Ace of Fire, it would really talk about certain things are no go anymore. And maybe the last hope or the hope of something, you just kind of like just put it down. And there is a time to move forward. There is a time for adventure. There's a time to kind of looking at new things. But I really think that, you know, that F word that we really like, that I actually was telling yesterday in the monthly readings, and it's not the 4-letter word. It is like more letters. What would be, I think, 6 or 7? Freedom, 7, right? So this is a freedom from burdens. This is the finally realization there's like somebody who is able to guide us. There's somebody who's sharing this knowledge, and we are rebellious. We like to do things our way. We just don't want to do things how other people tell us. And this time we are actually saying, okay, I have really tried and it didn't really work and exploded in my face. Let me just do it in a way that other people tell me to. Maybe I am not the smartest person in the world for this week. Kind of a thing. So it's cleaning the house, literal and proverbial, getting to the core of situation, right? And I kind of like feel there's like a lots of emotional gunk kind of like happening, and sometimes we cannot think straight. So it would be good to get magnesium, oh my gosh, what is it called, L-taurisine, I believe. Just type magnesium L and hyphen, and it's going to give you this new magnesium concoction. It's a combination of magnesium and amino acid, which is really helping brain to function better. They're saying this could be a cure for dementia, and so that is kind of like ability of brain to kind of like rebuild, and it's passing that blood-brain barrier. I mean, each magnesium does, but this one specifically, and it's kind of giving you ability to kind of access your words, and this is really what was needed for me, and also gives you ability to sleep better. So I needed to sleep better, and I needed to be able to find more words when I need them because of what I do. So I suggest to you this as well, because it's going to be able to verbalize or express what needs to be expressed, because maybe it was like too much work, maybe there was like feeling overwhelmed, maybe other people were taking time from us, or our time hasn't been productive. Now we are realizing, oh my gosh, I have been like a mean dog with a bone on certain things, and all this time I could have done even to just sleeping, which would be better than what I did, right? Keep that in mind. So I really feel, and I don't remember what title I had on the monthlies. I believe it was something about miracles, because I'm seeing these miracles here also. And it is kind of like one of those Nike kind of things, just do it kind of a thing. And just keep in mind that everything that we have that is unresolved, let's say unpaid bills, or things that are piling up in life, in home, in energy, in emotions, it kind of like ends up taking that energetic space, right? So if this is the four corners and we have these piles, like this is just a little sliver that we have. So now it's really time to stop being overwhelmed and start kind of like cleaning it and freeing ourselves energetically. And so make room for these miracles. And that's when they happen, when you kind of allow it to happen. Miracles don't happen to a person who is completely clustered, because you are not giving this opening. It's a partnership, right? So it's time to kind of like clear the air if you need to talk to anybody. And you know, you need to say what is on your mind. You need to state, well, look, you know, I'm actually really good. I'm not perfect, even though I think I am. But for me, I'm perfect. For you, I'm imperfect. And I don't think I'm going to change sufficiently to serve you, or I don't think you will change sufficiently. So how about right now, you know, I revisit who I am. Maybe I got lost in the process, kind of a thing, right? And it's really not really for even us to clean all relationships, right? Maybe somebody's going to approach us, and maybe we're going to cut certain people off from our life, and all of a sudden, like, there's going to be a kind of like arrival of somebody new. And this I really like, because this is not a big passion or somebody who is like, you know, they say, oh, I'm going to rock your world, like it's a good thing. It's a horrible thing for Aquarians, right? Because we like friends, we like somebody with whom we feel buddies, we are kind of connecting, right? So we kind of like need to sort through kind of like baggage. Everybody brings baggage. It's not nobody without baggage. Sometimes it's more obvious, sometimes it's less obvious, right? So it is kind of like that feeling of lightness, of being unencumbered, that is going to help us to kind of like get in relationships that actually will flourish. So clean up, Aquarians, clean up, because the sooner you do that, the sooner you're going to get into those stages of miracles. Okay, so Pisces, who is left? Pisces. And I hope my mods are working here, because I'm driving. When you're driving, you cannot really type, but I am watching the conversation the first time in a long time, because when I'm reading, I can't do that, right? Because I just here and there lift my head up and do it. So let's do this. Pisces. Yeah, you came to see Pisces? Really? Oh my gosh, I had a conversation with Safi yesterday, and I said, Safi, you're not coming to the readings. What is this? You're not tired of tarot? Should I give up on the channel? She goes, are you insane? Right, Saf? You see? And do you love Pisces? How much? How much? How much? Yes, they're spiritual powerhouse. So we are going to do Pisces reading right now. Can I? Huh? 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 And she is like starting to be playful with Tiger. Ooh, all the glitters, Pisces. Be careful. You might be guided with some certain things that are superficial in value, that maybe it is only this fad that is kind of like coming to the fore, and maybe it doesn't have too much of a value. You see, she wanted to get the stone. I grabbed it from her to clean it. So there you go. You'll see that she'll be playing with this in no time. Yeah, this is a smoky quartz, and smoky quartz, guys, is also very good to pull things to what is really needed. It kind of like gives us this special sense of, you know, clarity, and it's kind of like removing all this baggage and boundaries that maybe exist. Safi, your beautiful furry body is covering everything. Are you pretty, girl? Huh? Yeah, Do you love me? Do you? Oh, I love you too. And I think the Pisces love you too as well. So we have the Priestess. Pisces, you're coming to yourself. Ooh, the Hermit. Getting major kind. I don't know, this week it looks like it's a shift. Some signs got majors and they have to work on these majors, and the majors are not, ooh, 3 majors. You got 3 majors and the Death. Guys, something that you have been doing, something, the direction in which you were going needs to kind of like take a different shape. You need to go in a different direction over here, right? Not everything that kind of like glitters is gold. We all know that, kind of like old say. But here I'm getting these additional messages over here. Well, the Priestess, keep in mind, this is the one who, unlike a Hierophant, she kind of like has her knowledge, and she has, I mean, this is the moon, and I'm seeing a moon here, and I'm seeing a moon here. So it's going to be a lots of things that will be happening on an emotional realm in this particular time. And it's not going to be 1 week. It's for you, it's going to be much, actually considerably longer. In fact, for you, it's going to be about 2-year process that you really have to go through. But that process is basically starting this particular week, and this is what is really important, right? So High Priestess is somebody who is in between the worlds, and she's like really talking about this feminine spirit. So whether you're a man or a female, this is like something you really need to work on. It's kind of like somebody whose wisdom comes from unconscious. So that would be me, your proverbial tarot reader, and somebody who is able to listen the signs and things that happen. So Safi came on the table, there'll be interruptions, you'll be on the path of doing something, and something will come through, and instead of you kind of like steamrolling through it, you will need to stop and smell the roses and acknowledge it, or maybe even go in a different direction. So you will really need to listen and pay attention to everything. So this is that Zen feeling and being in the now. It's also going to be some kind of like mystery that is going to be revealed to you, right? Because the Hermit is also a really good combination when it comes to this point, which really talks about, so this is now Virgo correspondence over here, and I don't know if there is a Virgo or Earth sign that you have. So you have water and earth really strongly shown over here, right? So Hermit always tells us, wait a minute, it's time to stop, it's time to reflect a little bit, right? And it's also very much like her looking for truth and wisdom, but kind of like turning it inside, because we sometimes we look for gurus and we look for teachers, and that's very important, because just to go through life organically and to learn everything yourself, just imagine how long it would take. Can we all come up to an idea how to make electricity and how to put our place with a fridge and create a fridge and stove and everything? Yeah, I guess so, but is it possible in one lifetime? Right? Not everybody is Nikola Tesla, but you know, we can kind of like go and use the other people's knowledge, and that's kind of like why the schooling kind of like really exists, so that way we can build upon that. So this kind of like can be like as pragmatic as that, or it can be simply talking about the spiritual guidance and hopefully going forward. It could be to like, first of all, it's going to be a week where you just really want to be on your own, right? It's going to be a week where you need to disconnect. Maybe the phone is going to kind of like be turned off. Maybe you're not going to answer as many calls. Maybe you're not going to be as active on social media, right? Do not let the outside world distract you, because this can actually talk about reflection, and sometimes reflection can lead to enlightenment. And that's probably what is shown over here in this card, which is kind of like really, really sad if you really look at it, right? So this one does kind of correspond to Scorpio, and keep in mind that death is something that in the Western world we kind of like freak out. It is like something that is kind of like seem to be painful, but death universally and as the archetype here talks about a form of transformation. So this is a reminder that what has been, it cannot continue to be. Something has to emerge. So no longer being in a cocoon like butterfly now has to open its wings, kind of a thing, right? So you need to break old habits. And I feel that old habits was attracting yourself to something that seemed to be easy, or people, shiny objects were attracting you. So meaning like somebody appears to be really cheery and loving and caring, and they're nothing but they have this facade, right? They have this mask that they are carrying, that is maybe time to kind of like shed this, right? So it's going to be clearly a big change that is going to start this week, and looks like for quite a while. You're going to have almost like 11 months ahead of you, or about a year, where you will really kind of like almost like pull inside of yourself. It's going to be time for kind of like reshifting. Maybe you were traveling to a different destination, and now you're realizing, oh my gosh, I actually really don't even like ocean. Why am I traveling all the time to the ocean, or something like that. I mean, also in terms of relationship, why I'm always dating the same type of a woman or same type of a man. There's like a need to be changed, kind of like of this. This can also talk about kind of like ending something, because something really karmically has to come to a stop in order for the new avenues to open up. This is a highly spiritual period, guys, that you are going through, and this overall kind of like feeling is that something cannot move any further, that something came to its natural end. So if you try to revive it and resuscitate something, it's not going to help you. It's going to just create pain. So this is why you kind of like need to go in this wisdom. You need to kind of like figure out how you want to process things and achieve wiseness. And wiseness is not finding things how to work for you. No, that's being pragmatic, or that's being maybe even pushy. But wiseness is to figure out what things are the best for everybody and how you fit into that role. So just like make that determination in between. Okay, who is next? I think we have next is Aries. So Aries. Okay, Aries. For this week, what do we have for Aries? Aries. We have go the distance, and oh my gosh, can it be any more perfect card than the freaking cheetah? And look at this, it's materializing as it goes. Here, let me just put it closer so you can see it. Isn't that freaking awesome card? I just love it, and there is like heading toward the goal. And I think this kind of card is almost like music to your ears, because you kind of like this action, you like kind of like to move in this direction. And this kind of like was flicking upward, but it came reversed, and it's like Earth King or King of Pentacles that is like really coming out. Let's see what else. I see, ooh, I have two of, almost like said two of sex. Well, it's almost similar. It's like two of sea or two of cups, which is really lovely. I mean, 47 and 47 is actually 11. 4 and 7 is 11. So it's a very spiritual kind of like destination, if you wish. And there is like something over here that I'm seeing. It's going to be about rebuilding yourself, because Earth King really tells me that maybe you felt really comfortable in some kind of like situation, that maybe you felt okay with how much money you're making, that you felt okay with what you have, and it was like time for vacation. It's not necessarily vacation that you had to go. It was just like, okay, I'm doing not much anymore. So sometimes people get to that point when they're like in their, 40s, like, that's what they call it, middle-age crisis. And then you feel discomfort for a few years, and then all of a sudden you start to feel panic. Oh my God, I shouldn't be really doing this. There are so many other things to do. And that's when people start coming up with their bucket list and whatnot, right? So this is really telling you, and it's going to be one of those situations where you're going to feel, oh my goodness, I have been stagnating maybe a little bit. It is time to revisit your old dreams and to have new dreams. And this is going to be a very much long-term thinking, guys. For some of you, it would mean that you need to kind of like redefine your relationship, whether or not you have them. you kind of like will completely have a different approach in the future. Maybe you have been looking for somebody who can provide, who can be a provider and kind of like be this ground, and kind of like it worked really well because I guess you have the house, or maybe you can pay your bills, etc. But there is like something amiss, or maybe you have been just oriented toward upbringing your family and you have lost yourself in the process, right? So keep in mind that we always have this yin and yang, even when we get some fabulous thing happening. So sort of like we always have disappointment with the joy, right? Or, you know, opportunities with setbacks. They kind of like always coexist, because one technically cannot exist without another. So love is not opposite of hate. Love is opposite of indifference, right? So love is that engagement with kind of like vibrating on every level. Every atom vibrates, where indifference, it's just the connection is not there, right? The famous rice experiment, guys, Google it. They had these 3 bottles of rice, cooked rice, placed them in the fridge, and one, it said, on one they wrote love, another one they wrote hate, and the third one they wrote nothing. So after a couple of weeks, the love one kind of like was still kind of whitish, it didn't go bad, but the hate one was really, really bad and getting all this mold and crap on it, right? But that one that deteriorated the most was the one that had nothing on it. So it goes to show that neglect and feeling forgotten and feeling that we are not getting you know, our message through, or we are going to just be forgotten, is really bothering us more than anything else. Hello. Hello, you're visiting almost every sign today. Yes, lovely. So guys, life is really not a sprint, and I know that when you kind of set your mind on something, that you really go in that direction really, really quickly. You also need to realize, and this is going to be a time that, you know, you have to remain true to yourself, that you are very authentic. You're the first sign, which means that you're either a very young soul, or that you're coming in a new cycle of starting a new process and kind of like learning new experiences, right? So as far as relationships, because I see relationships, you have 2 of Cups and you have 3 of Cups. So this is not only kind of having this lovey-dovey feeling, and maybe you're dealing with somebody who is a Leo, but this is also dealing with differences, because we have the fellow that is much, much different, and yet there is like still the friendship, which I think is the glue, because love is this kind of like main course, is the steak, but without, you know, some proper sauce or something, is just going to really look plain. So kind of like this is the understanding. You are either in, or you're really calling for a harmonious relationship that is going to kind of like withhold a test of time, right? So it's one of those proverbial for the better or for the worse, right? Kind of a thing, and having this ups and downs. But this is what's going to spur new growth, right? And it's going to be some kind of like power of regeneration that I see here. Since you didn't get fire here at all, you got water and you got earth, so maybe you're connecting to those signs as well. It's really going to tell me that, you know, it's not going to be about somebody is just perfect and it's perfect, you know, in any shape and form, but it's going to be that it's perfect for you, and you're going to sort of like write a new song with this person. Okay, now I'm talking like a little bit too much in allegory. You will be able to kind of see this distance, new distance with this person. You know, sometimes you date and date and date somebody like 3, 4, 5 years, you're not getting married, or they don't want to marry you because there is like something amiss, and then pff, it just clicks, and all of a sudden it's just like absolutely great. I think it was the story of Miley Cyrus, and okay, she's not my idol by any means, quite the opposite, but what I really liked about her, that she was going on and off in that engagement with Liam, what's his name, Hemsworth, pardon me, not Neeson, and really, really good looking hunky Australian guy. But she would just go nuts and she would go crazy, and everybody was thinking, okay, well, why don't you just tone down, like you have a really good guy over there. Instead, she was just going with what she wanted to do, and that's authenticity. This is like, look, this is who I am, because if it means that I have to be with you, I need to change, then you don't really love me. You just love one slice of me, which exists in me, yes, but this is me as well. So since their home in California burned, I think last year, and I don't know why that came into my suggestions, the only one thing which kind of like they had in their home was this big sign, love, that kept standing, and that pushed them into, okay, you know, we have to take this from this engagement, which was always on and off, to the next stage. And I think that they got married. So I really kind of like feel something like that is going to happen to you. This is going to be a time where you will listen with your heart, and you will kind of like maybe feel that you have been wandering in a desert for like, I mean, ages and ages and ages, and nothing was happening, and now all of a sudden you actually see that, you know, oasis. You kind of like see something. So this is kind of like telling me that you actually have been and finished the process where you develop survival skills, and you are moving away from survival instincts to truly generating something that is going to be music to your heart. So this is really lovely, Aries. I really have to say I'm a little bit envious over here of your reading. So Taurus, are you last? And sugar always comes last, so let's do Taurus. Let's do Taurus. Am I getting like sniffles? Sniffles. Oops, Taurus. Haha! New life. And this one is a message in a bottle. New life and message in a bottle. Okay. And let's see what else we get. I love it. This almost looks like somebody is waking up. There's like something new, and that is something fresh. But there's like still something that is going to arrive. So let's get a little bit more information about this for Taurus for this week. And this is you. Earth King is coming through. You're feeling stabilized. Oh, it's going to be kind of like accomplishing certain level of something. This is this proverbial kind of like cleanse. Oh, and a 9 of fire. Very strong cards, I really have to say. Earth King, like, because this is clearly you, or you're clearly kind of going in a phase. Hey, Sophie, you came to Taurus as well, huh? Huh? Say hi. Do you love Taurus? Are they going to be cool? Successful? Happy? Win lottery? Get a lover? Have a pretty relationship? Oh, look at this. Nada. Okay, so why is she not engaging? I really think there is like some kind of renewal that needs to take place over here, and it needs to be understanding. Sometimes Taurus is really big-headed, and when they get stuck on something, they are just dog with a bone, just like all the other fixed signs. And like, think about spring that is really happening here in Northern Hemisphere, right? This is kind of like where you feel this joy and excitement and a breath of fresh air kind of a thing. A life is renewing itself. It's just like you're seeing the lungs of this planet kind of like really visible, right? So the birds are kind of basically blossoming. Birds are returning home. You're hearing them sing. It's kind of like every one of us, except if you live in Toronto where spring lasts one day, kind of like it's something that you can really kind of like take its lesson to your own private life, right? So you have to ask yourself, when was the last time you had spring in your life? You just finished your birthday cycle, and usually during a birthday cycle we open up, but right after it finishes, which it did just a few days ago, we start being very nervous. We start feeling agitated. We start feeling as we want to attack, because all of a sudden we are getting that realization of time is passing us by, and certain things need to be kind of like tended to, right? We need to deal with some things right now and right here, kind of a thing. So for you, I really think that it's going to be a new fresh breath of new relationship, new energy is going to enter all relationships, right? And you might actually be very sweet and very vibrant, contrary to your very pragmatic stance that you really had in the past. So this is really a good time to connect with the others, to understand this message that has been maybe sent a long time ago, and you just maybe didn't really acknowledge that, you didn't hear it, or you sent this message to somebody else and they haven't acknowledged that, right? So I really think that you guys have every reason to really be optimistic in this period of time. It's going to be really something that is going to carry you through for quite a bit of months ahead, because that's why you have good kitty over here. I think you're starting with a process which might last all the way until November, and it's going to be some kind of like feeling of solidity, right? So your communications are going to increase, you're going to feel better, and I really think that spirit will be sending you signs when you ask for them, and you need to be open to receive them as well. So again, you cannot be pig-headed. You really have to kind of like figure out what you really want, because this is also the cover of the book of this woman, what's her name, forgot it, Fairstone or something, and this is like her cat who always enjoyed leaving his imprint on something. So this is really important. Maybe something fell, that somebody pulled a rug under your feet, and now there is like, I mean, ability to feed that place with something new and something positive, almost like when we clean the house or when we move and we have the clean slate. It always feels so good in the beginning, right? So you guys on a target with your purpose and with your passion, and you're coming into alignment with your destiny. Things are happening here because they have to be. So it might be a message of an old friend or old contact, and as I said, communication with spirit is going to be very, very important. You have to really make sure that if you see the signs, that you acknowledge them. If you just go through the red flag or through the sign, then you're going to get twice as much bad things, because karma really wants you to go back to where you need to go. And there is like also here that we see a council of the wise, as I call this card, where there's like this meeting around the fire. Everybody's warm, everybody's comfortable, right? And look at these beautiful posters that they have there. I have to stop shaking my hand. See this like big tiger in the background, and lion, and sort of like the universal force, this kind of guiding them. Just in the next state, they're going to all start running, because the fire is going to start creating sparks, and it's going to be neat to kind of like go and take a different course. But right now, right here, because you have good kitty, you really have to make sure above everything else that what you're doing is in the best interest for you and for everybody else. It's a strong message. Pay attention to the signs, pay attention to other people. And this Earth King, if this is not you, it could be a new place, a new person, a new situation coming in your life, which can be financially very productive. And I really like this. As I said, this is something that is going to start brewing right now, and is going to take you over the next few months in the new phase. So you really have to be almost like, I mean, able to be molded into the new kind of like function. But there are also the things that you kind of like from the past you're closing down. There is a cycle of some kind of realization, and this new life maybe simply means leaving certain things behind. But I also feel that if a new person enters your life at this point, right now, this week or the next few months, this is going to be a really right person for you. So no kind of like surprises there. So my dear Taurus, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you mods and everybody is still here with me, there is a time to be rewarded. And you know that I do that in the very end. And it's not only just for Tauruses, but I guess you Tauruses, you get a special treat because you are at the end of the reading. So it's going to be yes and no question. I'm going to shuffle the cards. You ask a question. I'm going to present 3 cards or 3 groups of cards. And you're going to pick a door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, and I'm going to give you an answer. And I'm going to shuffle it off camera because cards jump out and sometimes face up, and I don't want you to see them up front. So this is door number 1. Oops. Door number 2. And door number 3. Okay, guys. If you asked if door number 1 is the solution, you got the Chariot. If you ask about relationship, if you're going to get in a relationship, then this is answer is saying not right now. And it's positive card still, and it's saying not right now because one person still needs to deal with something, some demons, or shedding something, or choices that haven't been properly made. They have to set a goal, they have to make you a priority, or maybe you need to look into yourself as a priority. Chariot tends to be fast moving in the direction of healing, so it is kind of a card where I would not necessarily try to encourage you and say yes, because like these dogs or whatever you want to call it, Sphinx in the other decks, is really talking about opposing forces in us, right? This is really talking about willpower and determination and challenge, right? So it's really talking about that we need to remain steadfast and have self-control. So this also kind of gives a promise that, you know, you are moving toward possibly commitment, but the time is not ripe yet, because this is more about the conquest than about quality, which we'll get in the next level on the card Strength 8. Door number 2, we have Earth Tone. Well, slow and steady wins the race, guys. Whatever your question was, something will be revolving in a good way, not in a fast way. It's going to be very protective energy. This like Knight of Pentacles to me is the proverbial friend energy, right? And it's kind of like being prepared for the situation, being efficient, being practical, and it's somebody who is really there for you. And it's not if it's judging because they want to tell you where you're doing it wrong. You might disagree, but kind of like this really talks about somebody with whom it's not necessarily attraction on the level where you maybe want it to be, but nonetheless this is a strong, steady energy that is going somewhere. So the answer kind of like would be yes. So there is like yes somewhere in the distance over here, but here is like kind of like yes, but you have to understand that this person comes in a maybe different flavor than what you wanted. And the door number 3, you have who? You have the Priest. Somebody could be very domineering. You might be dealing with Taurus here. The number 1 was Cancer, or this is the energy, very strong energy. So if your question was about money or about some solution, this is really telling me that the answer will be given through help, and that help will be either a counselor, and you will need to get counseling, you will need to get legal help, you will be researching some kind of subject. About a person itself, this could be a really big yes, because this card can actually sometimes signify marriage, and maybe the person will finally come through and propose because time is going to be right. And this is definitely talking about big traditional kind of things happening. So that's why I listed you a few things that we had so far. So this is it from me, guys. I'm going to play the music, which I didn't play in the beginning because I just jumped in just to make sure that, you know, it's a little bit different. But it's going to be quick music so you can say goodbye to each other. Hopefully this was helpful. And my apologies for not typing, or I don't know if I can at all while I'm driving. My idea in my head was that I will be able to do that, but when you're going like 120 down, you know, this is kilometers, guys, not miles. I don't know how many miles this is. I would say 80. Then it's not the wisest thing to type on a highway. So love you, everybody, and let's see how this really works, if this works at all for this kind of premiering video. All the best until the next time. You know that I love you. Where is guys, for everybody for being here. I'll see you next week. Love you. All the best. And I think Steph is going to say goodbye. I'm going to play with her a little bit longer. Bye. I love you.